Yo, what's up with y'all? It's Key Major. Today I'm showing you guys how to make some ethnic guitar samples for PYREX WHIPPA and Southside. Let's get straight into the video. So you guys already heard that preview in the beginning, so I'm just gonna get straight to the breakdown. So the first thing I used was Flex. Downloaded the Essential Guitars pack, and I picked the Ace Nylon MK1 guitar, and I came up with this little melody right here. I'm gonna play it with no effects. And that part is basically copies over. You can see it's super repetitive. It's just this part duplicated over and over. The first thing I did when coming up with this melody was I went into snap grid and I went to 1/3 step. This just allows me to put the guitar in triplets and create more bounce with the guitar instead of just playing chords. The first tip I could give you guys, minor natural Aeolians, probably one of the most common scales used for dark melodic samples. You just go here to view scale highlighting, and then you click on minor natural Aeolian and whatever root note you're using, which mine is C sharp, and then you just follow the light gray notes, stay away from the dark gray notes, and it should be 10 times easier coming up with any melody. So I came up with this little pattern that was basically C sharp triad, but I just removed the middle note. After that, I just laid down this top melody just to complement the chords. I just followed the same light gray notes and just tried to come up with something catchy. I did Alt S, and I went here, messed around with the strumming knob, and then last thing I did was did Alt R, and I messed with the velocity and the pan. Messing with the velocity is a very big tip I recommend to do with your guitars, because it makes it just sound so much better and more realistic. For the effects, I did a tiny bit of stereo separation, and I also added halftime on here, and then I added ambience, which is a free reverb. I just turned the mix knob down, and then I added RC20. I add RC20 on almost all my guitars. It just helps the guitar sound more vintage and warm. I just went to the vinyl 1 preset, and I just turned the noise knob down. I messed with the wobble, which is basically just detuning the guitar. I turned the rate knob down so it's not detuning the guitar as fast, and I turned the flux up. I basically kept everything else how it was, like the distortion. Last thing I did was I just turned down the magnetic, and I added a little bit more space, which is basically just like reverb. Then I added a parametric EQ. I just EQ'd a lot of lows, and I raised the highs a tiny bit, and with the effects it sounds like this. So the next thing I did was I exported the guitar and I threw it in Slicer. Slicer's a really cool like trick you could do to your melodies. I know like cubeatz and like Palace and a lot of sample makers out there use Slicer all the time. It adds a really cool effect to your samples. I threw it in Slicer, and then I went up here to the slicing button and I clicked beat, so it's slicing it every beat, and then I just turned the attack knob up. Now it sounds like this. For the effects, I added Isotope Vinyl. This is also a free plugin. I just added this just to add more detune to the guitar and sound more vintage and old. I messed around with the warp depth, which is basically just detune. I turned it up, but not all the way, because you don't want to like overuse it and just detune the melody too much to where it's just like sounds bad. And then I messed with the warp model. This also messes with the warp depth. And then I added again a little more reverb, and then I just EQ'd more lows out, and that was really all I did for the guitar. The next thing I added was this one shot. It's basically like a bell. The first thing I did to the one shot was I turned the out knob up just so it could like fade out, and then I messed with the envelope. When you're using one shots, you really want to tweak the envelope just so you could sound better. For example, what I did for this one shot was I turned the attack knob down, and then I messed with the release time. For example, if you have the release time at 0, it's going to sound like this. You see, it cuts right away, so turning up the release knob makes the notes just be longer. Now for the bell, I copied the exact same melody over, same velocity, same pan, everything's the exact same, and I put it in the same track. All I did was I added another halftime, just basically the growth speed. I added another halftime just so it's lower, and it sounds like this. So yeah, I basically added this just so it could be in the background, like as a texture, just be in the background, not too up front. The next thing I added was the flute, which is probably like the catchiest part of the sample and what really brings that ethnic feel. For this flute, I did use Arcade. I used this bank right here, and then I just went to the root note, which was C sharp, and then I just came up with these notes right here. For the effects on the flute, I did a tiny bit of stereo separation. I added ambience again. I just turned the mix knob down, added a 1/8 delay. I turned the cut knob down a little bit, and then I just lowered the volume and I panned it, and I selected ping pong, so it's panning left and right. And the last thing I did was I added an EQ. I EQ'd the lows out and I raised the highs, and I just lowered a couple harsh frequencies. The last thing I did with the flute was I recorded it out and I just pitched it up 1200 cents. It's basically an octave, and it sounds like this. I also added some effects to this one. I added a little more reverb, and I just EQ'd the lows out and a little bit of the highs. But that was really it. I exported everything together, and then I pitched the entire sample down 100 cents. Before I did export it, I did put a parametric EQ on the master, and I just took out some lows, a little bit of the mids, and raised the highs just to make the sample sound more clear. And the final sample sounds like this. So that's really it for the sample. I really hope you guys did enjoy and learn something new. This loop will be in my new loop kit dropping Monday. It's going to be 8 loops all around this type of style, ranging from dark ethnic and dark melodic ambient melodies. A bunch of varieties to choose from. So make sure you guys do go get that loop kit. It's completely free, zero money. I will be dropping it on my YouTube and on my Instagram. Also, one last thing, make sure you guys do follow me on Instagram. I do post some beat snippets on there, some samples, and sometimes I post my loop kits a little early over there. And also subscribe to the channel. I do post all my loop kits on here, and I do plan on dropping more tutorials as well. We're almost at 300 subscribers, so if we can hit that as well, that would be amazing. But yeah, other than that, that's it for the whole video. Like I said earlier, if you guys did enjoy, make sure you do leave a like, comment, and make sure you hit the bell so you're notified when I upload new loop kits and tutorials. But other than that, man, that's really it. I really hope you guys did enjoy, and I'll see you on the next video.